Good morning. The Senate Committee on Natural Resources will now come to order. Will the Secretary please take roll?
Senator Flores, Senator Gogochia, Senator Hansen, Senator Scheibel, Chair Pazina.
Thank you so much, and please mark Senator Flores present when he arrives. We do have 4 members present, so we do have a quorum. And before we begin, for those that have forgotten in the last week, it feels like it's been months. A few housekeeping reminders. Please silence your cell phones and electronic devices. The public is advised that during meetings, legislators and staff are using laptops to view bills and exhibits and not for personal reasons, so please don't look at this as a sign of inattention or disrespect. Please note that we require everyone to submit exhibits in an electronic format the day before the meeting. And a few reminders about testifying before the committee. We do ask that you sign in at the table by the door and give the committee secretary your business card if you have one prior to testifying. Even if you're not testifying, you may want to sign in so there's a record of whether or not you're interested in a specific bill. When testifying, please turn on the microphone, clearly state your name and affiliation for the record, and spell your name. Then turn the microphone off each time you've completed speaking. We'll be taking public comment at the end of the meeting, and we'll be limiting public comment to 2 minutes per person so that everyone gets an opportunity to speak. Please feel free to provide any additional comments in writing to the committee secretary, and they may be added to the record. All right, we've got 2 bills that we're hearing today, Assembly Bill 46 and Assembly Bill 184. We will be getting started with Assembly Bill 46, making various changes relating to historic markers. Please come on up and begin the presentation when ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. James Settlemeyer, Director of the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. I have with me today Rebecca Palmer from the State Historic Preservation Office. I also have Bob McGill from State Parks. This bill originally came forward from the previous administration, which was seeking to take the historical markers across the state of Nevada, which I refer to kind of as the blue stanchions, the shape of Nevada, blue. We do have a fair amount of them that are stone, brass. As I've been traveling around, once taking this position, I've now been to 96 of the 274 markers. In the past, they've tried to have people go out and investigate these markers in order to make sure that they were not in a bad nature. Graffiti to stickers to fading and things of that nature. That being said, they've always had a problem trying to find someone to do that. The previous administration was going to transfer those responsibilities to the Department of Transportation and to Public Works, who both put in fiscal notes and said, no thank you. That being said, State Parks stepped forward, and with that I would like to turn the presentation over to them if that's acceptable, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Pazina and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Rebecca Palmer, and I'm the Administrator for the State Historic Preservation Office in the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. I'm here today to present AB 46 in its first reprint, along with my colleague, Bob McGill, Administrator of the Division of State Parks. Put very simply, AB 46 is a bill that will, if enacted, reinvigorate the Nevada Historical Marker Program by creating a more cost-effective method of constructing and maintaining these roadside interpretive icons. AB 46, in its first reprint, reassigns the maintenance and construction responsibilities from Nevada's 270 historical markers from the Office of Historic Preservation to the Division of State Parks. Pursuant to NRS 3D3091, the office is responsible for establishing the qualifications and standards for the historical marker program, as well as historic research, designation, inventory, and updating of text for historical markers. These responsibilities fit well and are aligned with the mission and responsibilities of the office. However, the office does not have the staff, resources, or expertise necessary to fulfill the maintenance and construction responsibilities for the program. From 1977 to 2019, the office used revenue from multiple sources, including the Commission for Tourism and the Nevada Department of Transportation, to hire contractors who were willing to undertake the construction and maintenance tasks for this marker program. While not a cost-effective approach, these contracts did ensure that the office could undertake a minimum level of maintenance and replacement. Since 2019, the office has been unsuccessful in locating any contractors willing to submit a proposal to continue the construction and maintenance program despite numerous attempts. It is highly unlikely that such parties will be any more willing to submit proposals in the future. Without the continued maintenance required for the program, markers have been damaged or even removed from Nevada's roadways without feasible plans for their repair or replacement. This high-profile public interpretation program will continue to deteriorate unless a more cost-effective and collaborative approach for the maintenance is found. AB 46 serves as that cost-effective and collaborative approach needed to ensure the long-term preservation of this roadside interpretive program. Chair Pezzina, if you wish, I'd be happy to walk through the bill.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Section 1 removes the responsibility for the construction and maintenance of the markers from the office. Section 1 also codifies the review process for new markers that has evolved since the program was transferred in 1977, when the office did not have a professional historian, and the Nevada Historical Society served in that capacity. Section 2 assigns the installation, maintenance, and repair responsibilities to the Nevada Division of State Parks. This concludes my testimony. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right. Thank you so much. I believe Senator Goicoechea, you had a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And first and foremost, I'll be looking for a job here pretty quick, so maybe I. Yeah, a great program, and I understand where you are. I am concerned about the way I understand it now. State parks will be actually the ones that travel the state and puts them up. And I know they're, we've gone from the old big Nevada sign to a lot of rock monuments with brass. Another real issue I have, I remember when we started Highway 50, the loneliest highway in America, and NDOT started putting signs up, and they couldn't get them out fast enough because people were stealing them quicker, posts and all in some cases, and they were taking them somewhere else. Loneliest highway in America, in Highway 50, but as it was there. So I guess that's a concern of mine, but it's going to be a huge undertaking. It's something we need to deal with. I understand that, especially the big signs. They were too big to pack off, but they are in somewhat disrepair all across the state. Now, are you talking about you're just going to go back in and then reface those or put a different logo or change them out? I guess I know it's long-term plans, but Ms. Palmer, I just kind of where you're headed.
James Settlemeyer, for the record, Department of Conservation Natural Resource Director. What we're looking at is the ability, since state parks travels the state of Nevada so much, they'll be able to go out and investigate those. As I've been going out, I've been categorizing the GPS locations because some of them are rather off from where the map originally was. So that being stated, once we find out the nature of them, we do have extra state seals available that are sticker form that go on them. So if we determine that that's all it needs, it'd be fairly easy to replace. But with his department, he'll have the ability, as he does other signs, to take them down and potentially repaint them if necessary. And then as he goes in and around the state of Nevada, exchange them in order to get them more up to date. Now, the actual wording that could be wrong on them, that's where we're rather fortunate to have Ms. Palmer here. There are some that have some, I'll just call it antiquated language, that she's been kind enough to update on the website, and some of those need to actually be updated in reality. In that respect, as that occurs, we'll have to pay for those, again, within the available funds we have over a period of time of trying to update those. But I'll let Ms. Palmer and Mr. McGill add more information to that.
For the record, my name is Rebecca Palmer. We do have a number of the stanchions. Those are the blue woven steel stanchions. So we can replace some of the missing markers once, if the bill is enacted, then we have a process for replacing those. In addition, we have a very active public base who love the markers, and they will inform us if there's a marker missing as soon as they get back into cell range. So they are very eager to ensure that we know a marker is missing. So with that, we feel that we're able to address maintenance issues. I am aware that there are at least 10 missing markers, just right off the bat. And so I believe I have an equal number of stanchions warehoused in various NDOT yards. because NDOT has been very kind in to place those stanchions in their nearest wear yard when they find them down or damaged.
Bob Mergell, Administrator for Division of State Parks. I'll just throw in also the fact that we've recently deployed a mobile app that really was designed for mapping for all of our state parks. So you go to a state park and you can track yourself, geo-track yourself on the trails. But we're going to expand that if this bill passes to include all of the historical markers throughout the state. So we won't necessarily have to send park staff out to look at those markers. We'll rely on the public to do that. They'll be able to post pictures of those and let us know if any maintenance is required. So we're gonna kind of let the public, if you will, do a lot of that work for us. Now, again, involving the public can backfire on occasion, but that'll, with pictures, we'll know if there's actual damage to those markers or not. We also, because we have maintenance personnel scattered throughout the state, we have the capacity to fabricate those markers. So it will be a lot more cost effective for us. We won't have to contract out every aspect of that.
Madam, if I could follow up real quick, one of the benefits too of the outer spatial app that he has within his department is that people will be able to, as they drive by at 70 miles an hour and maybe they don't have enough time to stop and read the marker, maybe their co-pilot could sit there and actually read it off of the app. And this would be very beneficial in order to bring the new level of technology to the people. I'm not, I guess I'm guilty of it, just zipping, going a little bit too fast and sometimes not taking time to read the signs. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to be clear then. The Historical Society will actually prep the signs or whatever, do whatever work on them, and Mr. Miguel, you're going to put them in. Is that kind of where we're at?
Bob Mergell, for the record. So as far as the language on the signs goes, that will be, that chore will remain with the State Historic Preservation Office. We'll be doing all of the actual work, creating fabricating the sign, installing the sign, and maintaining it. So the language will not be our responsibility. That's going to be still in the State Historic Preservation Office.
And then one follow-up, I guess, is from being in finance. There's going to be an impact that your department's going to absorb that.
James Settlemeyer, Director of Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. There is an agreement through funds through NDOT that they actually give us every year to go out and maintenance these and take care of them. The problem is, as the administrator from State Historic Preservation Office indicated, Rebecca indicated, Ms. Palmer, that no one has wanted to do that for the last 4 to 5 years because they just looked at it and said, no, it's not worthwhile to us. No contractor would take it. So those funds have been reverting to NDOT all the time. So there will not be a fiscal impact or a fiscal note due to that, since we'll just finally be able to use those funds from DOT to do what was originally discussed.
Thank you. Sounds good. Let's see where we go. Thank you. And again, I might be looking for a job. I'll tell you where the sign is down, Mr. Miguel.
Senator Scheibel.
Thank you so much. Are we still adding, I mean, obviously we're replacing signs, but are we still adding new signs, like learning about historical things and, commemorating them?
For the record, my name is Rebecca Palmer, through Chair Pazina to you, Senator Scheibel.
Please go direct.
Thank you. The answer to the question is yes, we are adding new markers, primarily for public interpretation related to mitigation for federal projects. So the latest marker that we're just now working on installing is for the Nevada Veterans Hospital in Reno. Prior to that, we had a marker for the Nevada Veterans Nursing Home on the NAMS campus in Reno, and that was to discuss the history of that hospital.
All right, thank you so much. With that, if you three would like to step back, we will welcome those in support of Assembly Bill 46. Please come on up. BPS, do we have anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in support of AB 46, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in opposition of AB 46 here in Carson City? Or BPS, what about the phones?
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 46, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
All right, that brings us to neutral. Anyone in neutral on AB 46? BPS, back to you.
If you would like to testify in neutral for AB 46, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
All right, any closing words for us on AB 46? All right, look at that. Well, with that, the hearing is closed on AB 46, and we will move into an immediate work session. As I think a lot of you know, session is winding down, so we're trying to be as efficient as we can right now. So I'd like to go ahead and open a work session on the bill we just heard, AB 46. I will entertain, I'll hand it right on over to Ms. Keller if you have anything you'd like to say. I know we just heard it.
Thank you, Chair Pazina. Assembly Bill 46 was just heard by this committee, and it transfers responsibility for the installation, maintenance, and protection of historical markers from the Office of Historic Preservation to the Division of State Parks of the State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, and there were no amendments proposed.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to do pass AB 46. Thank you so much. We have a motion from Senator Goicoechea and a second from Senator Flores. Any discussion on the motion? All right, we're not a chatty bunch this morning. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Wonderful. Well, with that, I will assign the floor statement to Senator Goicoechea, who we are going to miss so much on this committee. And with some of the best timing I've ever seen as we end that work session, I would like to open the hearing on AB 184, establishing an incentive program for the purchase of certain zero-emission, medium-duty, and heavy-duty vehicles. And with that, we will welcome Assemblyman Watts, and you can get started when you're ready. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Howard Watts, representing Assembly District 15 in Clark County. It's my pleasure to present Assembly Bill 184 for your consideration today. This bill will create a new incentive program to help support small business owners, local governments, and state government in procuring zero emissions, medium and heavy duty vehicles. A little bit about why this is here. So, we have taken a lot of actions to try and reduce air pollution. And there's both greenhouse gas emissions, but there's also particulate matter and other pollution that is harmful to human health. And when we look at all of those types of air pollutants, transportation is a significant contributor to those. And when you look within transportation itself, the larger duty vehicles make up a significant share. They're about 5% of the vehicles on our roads, but they make up, I think, about half of that particulate matter pollution that comes from vehicles. They make up about a third of carbon emissions that come from those from our vehicle fleet. So if we take actions to help clean up that sector, each one of those vehicles, I think, makes a larger difference than, for example, a passenger vehicle. When we talk about medium and heavy duty vehicles, we're talking about delivery vans, delivery trucks, semi-trucks, utility vehicles such as garbage trucks, and also buses. You know, and one of the things I think it's important to note is that compared with discussions about passenger vehicles and increasing transit, these uses for last mile delivery, for transit, those are going to be there no matter what. So these vehicles are going to be on our roads. And they're going to be on our roads quite a bit, and they emit quite a bit of pollution. So it has a significant, I think, air quality and public health benefit. It also helps support our economic development strategy. One of the key pillars of the administration's current economic development goals is to support a move towards a electric, clean technology economy and support the development of those businesses. And I think this will help continue to support and spur that innovation. And then finally, this has further economic benefits to small businesses who need help getting to some cost parity to make these decisions to move from older vehicles that have much more significant fuel and maintenance needs into these newer vehicles that, again, not only have some of these clean air benefits, but also have lower operating and maintenance costs. And that's what this does, is seeks to help make that transition possible. I'll just note that there are a handful of other states that have set up similar programs to these. The Division of Environmental Protection has administered similar programs in the past, both through the Diesel Emission Reductions Act funding that exists, as well as the VW settlement. They used those funds to help oversee kind of replacement and upgrade programs. And we have a new opportunity to fund this using one of the new federal infrastructure programs called the Carbon Reduction Program. That goes from the Federal Department of Transportation to the State Department of Transportation, specifically for programs that are going to reduce carbon emissions from our transportation sector. So what this bill seeks to do is to use the 35% in flexible funding that the state has under that program and dedicate it towards this program. And that also gives us the opportunity to leverage additional federal investments and additional dollars to support this. This is the product of significant work with many stakeholders and agencies, and I'm glad to answer questions, but instead of walking you all the way through the bill, what I'll say is the general structure of the program is this. There would be a collaboration between the Department of Transportation that receives these dedicated federal funds and the Division of Environmental Protection, who has administered similar programs in the past, to stand this program up. There would be work with manufacturers, dealers, and purchasers of these vehicles, and a lot of this would be fleshed out in rulemaking to create the details of the program, but essentially would allow them to work together to submit application and receive incentive funding. That funding can only go down to basically what a comparable diesel vehicle would cost. So the goal is to create at the most cost parity with internal combustion vehicle. It has to be zero emissions. It can be fully battery electric. It could be hydrogen fuel cell. It just has to have zero tailpipe emissions. And then that payment that incentive would be applied to the upfront cost of the vehicle, again, making it more accessible for the purchaser. Basically this is open to any entity, so it's open to businesses, it's open to nonprofits, and it's open to our state government and local government agencies to be able to pursue these opportunities. And there are some, with the incentives, they vary based on the size of the vehicle and that the weight rating that it falls into. And then there are some amplifiers as well. And those are really aimed first and foremost at helping small businesses, at helping disadvantaged small businesses as well. And then particularly assisting independent owner-operators. And I think you'll hear from the Trucking Association about why that is so important. So we're trying to help, again, those small business owners that have their own vehicles that are carrying out some of these functions to be able to upgrade their vehicles because they don't have the capital to make some of these investments that some of the larger entities do. So we're really trying to focus on helping them out in particular. And then, we also have help set aside, amplifiers set aside for school districts. And, several districts have sought, and I know Clark County in particular has gotten some funding and is starting to roll out zero emissions buses for their fleet. And we wanted this to be available to continue to help them because even with that funding, those fleets are quite large. These just cover the vehicle costs, and I think, again, when you listen to testimony, there are other costs as well, but the goal at the end of the day is to help get this to a point where the upfront financials make sense, and then those operators can realize those savings over time. And again, there is no use of state dollars on this program. We're using a new federal program, so it's not being diverted from another use that exists today. And ultimately, the purpose of those funds is to reduce this pollution. So I think this is a great way that we can balance that goal and do it in a way that provides significant economic benefits to the state as well. So instead of doing a detailed walkthrough, that is the summary of the bill, and I'm glad to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and maybe this is something more. Can we just get a real quick, what is a small business defined as?
Thank you for that question, Senator Gokachia. Howard Watts for the record. So we have, it's not listed right here in the bill. So I believe that in a lot of these, and you'll see there's also a reference to disadvantaged small businesses, and those are all defined under the Small Business Administration. So I'll have to follow up with what the exact threshold is, but we are essentially referencing the Small Business Administration definitions.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, and I know it wouldn't change, but I was just kind of curious what it was. Then as I look at the bill, if you were disadvantaged or a minority or whatever, you got an additional 5 from it looks like in the bill 20% right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct. Howard Watts for the record, and I didn't touch on that as much. So there's a list of kind of different categories and incentives. You can only get up to 2 of them. So if you're a small business, I believe that's 20%. If you're disadvantaged, that's 5. So you would get those 2. And so that'd be 25% total. If you're the independent owner operator, that is the largest incentive. So again, trying to help out those folks who have their own vehicle who are doing some of these jobs. So that's kind of how we've put it together. But we also didn't want it to get to the point where you can stack 4 or 5 of these and get the 200% kicker.
No, I appreciate that, and I'll wait until I see some people in the audience here. I'm going to ask them exactly, what an independent truck operator is. Again, I own almost every one of these classes, but being in agriculture, again, if I'm running, I've got several questions for them, but I do appreciate it. I think, when the dollars are clearly significant, I think you will probably bring people to the table. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Thank you so much. With that, you can step back and we will open up Assembly Bill 184 for testimony and support.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, I'd just like to note I have Aaron Kressig with Western Resource Advocates. He was on hand to help answer any questions, but would also assisted with the bill and would like to offer them the opportunity to testify in support at some point.
Sounds great, and thank you. We will start, actually, let's start in Carson City, but we will get to you, sir, with your testimony and support. Thank you.
Hi there. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Trevor Parrish, and I'm here on behalf of the Vegas Chamber. The Vegas Chamber is in support of the financial provisions of this bill and the economic benefits that it will have. Therefore, we urge your support. Thank you very much.
For the record, my name is Reagan Hart with Ferrari Reader, representing Dignity Health St. Rose Dominican, in support today of AB 184.
Thank you so much. Could you move a little closer to the microphone? Thank you.
For the record, my name is Reagan Hart with Ferrari Reader, representing Dignity Health St. Rose Dominican, in support today of AB 184. At St. Rose, we believe contributing to our healthy environment and collective quality of life continues to be a key measure of our organization's success. With over 30% of Nevada's greenhouse gas emissions coming from the transportation sector, and that number is expected to grow, accelerating the adoption of EVs is critical to preventing the worst impacts of climate change and air pollution. Addressing the medium and heavy-duty sector in particular is critical given its outsized role in harmful emissions that cause asthma, cardiovascular disease, and premature death. This program is an important step to increase access and consumer choices in transportation, spur innovation, and invest in the integration of clean energy resources that will have enormous public health benefits, notably over $5 billion by 2040. This is why we have joined a letter as part of a written testimony signed by more than 12 businesses in the state of supporting AB 184. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm not sure what it is, Madam Chair, members of the, are we morning? I guess technically so. Thanks, Polly. Appreciate you, buddy. Turn your mic off. For the record, Andy McCam, the Executive Director of the Nevada Franchise Auto Dealers Association, as the committee, I believe, is aware of. My members are also those heavy-duty truck dealers that sell the rolling stock to Mr. Enos's folks. You know, the fact of the matter is when you look in terms of these type of vehicles, they're cost prohibitive to most independent operators and small operators. And Senator Goycochea, I'm not going to take any of Mr. Enos's thunder, and you can light him up momentarily. But the fact of the matter is this bill's transformative because it's going to put these people in a position to, not today, but shortly in the future, being able to afford these vehicles. As I said in the other house, when you just look today, oftentimes prices are so high when you couple them with a 12% federal excise tax on trucks that our independent mom and pop folks just simply cannot get into cleaner, more fuel efficient, and safer vehicles. This solves that conundrum, particularly when you look in terms of zero emission, medium, heavy duty trucks. In closing, you know, I think it's important to note, and Assemblywoman Watts did a great job on this, that this is money from the feds. And I don't know about you all, I think I'd rather capture it and keep it in the silver state and help the small businesses and frankly save taxpayers money than having it go next door to California or somewhere else. So we enthusiastically support this bill, and apologies, I'll shut up, but Mr. Watts was great to work with. We had problems with it on the front end. Met with him, the stakeholders, and a lot of our concerns have been ironed out. So thank you for your time, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Paul Enos. I'm the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association, here today to support Assembly Bill 184. A lot of our folks are those small operators. Your average trucking company has about 6 trucks. And when they're looking at moving towards these zero emission vehicles, there's some pretty simple math to do. Factor of 9. It's 3 times the cost for these vehicles today compared to an internal combustion engine. And for at least our Class 8 vehicles, you're going to need 3 times the trucks to do the job of one today because of the increased weight of the battery. So a lot of folks are doing the math and saying, hey, we can't do this. A lot of our owner-operators, and those are those small one-truck people who are for hire, they have their own authority, they typically will work for contractors or other companies or go out on the load board. They tend to hold on to those trucks a lot longer because it is such a big investment on the front end. They're typically the folks that are driving around in the trucks that are 25 years old, and we've made a tremendous amount of strides. It takes the emissions of 66 trucks today to meet the same emissions from one truck in 1988. So while we've made a tremendous amount of strides, still because of that cost, a lot of folks are holding on to those vehicles a lot longer. If you're going to have those folks, especially your folks who are doing the local and the medium duty deliveries around town, you're going to need incentives like this to get them there, to get them to be able to do it. They're not going to be able to do them without them. We appreciate that 33% base incentive. And Mr. McKay is absolutely right. His dealers are fantastic. They are really the conduit to work with a lot of our folks who don't have the sophistication, understand the law, and how to get those incentives. His guys are the people that do it. When you are looking at buying a new truck here in the Silver State, not only are you paying that 12% federal excise tax, you're paying an additional 12 to 13% depending on what county you're in for registration, for sales tax. So if you're looking, a $400,000 vehicle, you're looking at $100K, close to $100K just in taxes. So we need these incentives to be able to move forward in this direction. We appreciate Mr. Watts working with him, and we feel like this bill helps us get there. Thank you.
Did you have a question for Senator Hansen?
Testimony. Thanks, Madam Chair. You just said, that here you're right, we're going to need 3 times the trucks because of the battery weight of the electric vehicles. Did I hear that correctly?
For the record, Paul Enos, Nevada Trucking Association, through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Hansen. Yeah, the battery weight on those Class 8 trucks, it's a lot heavier than diesel fuel. So I don't see that this bill necessarily taking those folks out of it. I think this is going to be more for your small, local folks, your medium-duty folks. Of course, you're going to need a bigger battery for the big Class 8 long-haul trucks that are going long distances. So that's why I think this makes a lot more sense for those local, small, Class 4 to 7 vehicles that typically do stay local and don't need that huge battery that you would if you're going, if you're trying to go over Donner Summit or, long distances.
But on average, you're saying we're going to need 3 times more trucks on the road to carry the same cargo loads.
With the technology today, for a Class 8 truck, long-haul truck, the weight of the battery is that much more in your cargo weight. I think it's about 20,000 pounds less that you get in cargo.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Madam Chair.
All right, we'll go to Senator Goicoechea and then Senator Flores.
Go ahead and go to Mr. Flores. I'm back to him.
All right, we'll head to Senator Flores. You're a popular man today.
Uh-oh.
No, I know some folk who are in the trucking industry, particularly with some federal contracts. There's a requirement that the fleet not be older than X amount of years. Otherwise, you can't use them for particular jobs. I think local, you're fine, but it's some of the national stuff. I'm curious, does that change when you move to this type of truck, the age requirement, the year requirement? Because I'm curious to know about that specifically. Because I know some truckers, what they do is at some point end up selling them to other countries because they can no longer continue to use them, with some of the big contracts that they have nationally. But I'm just curious, would that change any of that?
So through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Flores,
Please
for the
go
record,
direct.
Paul Enos, thank you. Senator Flores, for the record, Paul Enos, Nevada Trucking Association. I'm not sure about the federal contracts, but I can tell you with the state of California, they absolutely have an age limit of when you can take those diesel trucks in. They don't have an age limit on the zero emission trucks. These are exactly the kind of vehicles that they want going into the Golden State. This is how they want to transition. And I know a lot of my companies here are kind of scratching their heads going, okay, how are we going to do that? Are we going to be able to go into California? And it's exactly the kind of incentives that are in a bill like this that will give those folks the opportunity to be able to compete and be able to continue on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. And just a couple of questions for Mr. Enos. So technically, an independent trucker it has to be for hire in your, as we're looking at this bill.
Well, I would tell you it's probably not going to be for your private, but I mean, I think that's something that, a definition that we'd probably be working on with both the Department of Transportation and NDEP as we move forward here. For hire trucking is a much different business than, doing private hauling, and private hauling can be anything, right? Guy hauling, his own hay.
Right.
And a lot of times they do that to be able to defray the costs of that other side of the business as opposed to, or construction, as opposed to, going out there in the market and bidding on loads and, hauling freight for a living. So that's where I'd probably put the definition between somebody who is, has one truck as a private company. When you look at your trucking companies, you got different kinds, right? You have your truckload carriers, which typically everything on that one load of the truck is all owned by one entity. So it's somebody who's hauling an entire load for Budweiser or Ocean Spray. Your LTLs, that's your less than truckload, that's your companies like UPS and FedEx who have a myriad of different packages that are on that vehicle. And then your third classification of trucking is your private carriers. So that's Walmart hauling for Walmart, McDonald's hauling for McDonald's, construction guy or a rancher hauling his own product. So that's where I think it's a little different. And, I think that's something that we'd work on with our friends at the DOT and NDEP in terms of defining what that is. But in my mind, I'd say owner-operator is a for-hire trucker with their own authority that goes out and, either works for other trucking companies or works for their entities and bids on loads. And of course, to meet the labor laws, they can't be dedicated to that one person. They can't be forced dispatch. They still have to own the truck, have their own insurance, have their own authority, and have the same business challenges that other folks do.
Right. And I appreciate that. That's why I asked what small business was. Again, you're talking about, okay, there's an age cap, especially in California on these older trucks. But as we get out in my world, and again, they're qualified with the farmer rancher exemption, which helps cheapen up the registration cost. But by the same token, they're probably as bad as any of them for pollution. Let's be honest. I've got a couple of them. They're pre-87s.
Through you, Mr. Gochia, you're 100% right. Those are the older trucks. And, typically we do see those kind of in your local areas, your straight trucks, your smaller trucks that are a lot older. People, they don't put, 100,000 miles on them every year like your average Class 8 does, so they can hold on to them longer. And, once again, I am very proud of the fact through private sector innovation and government regulation that this industry has been able to reduce our emissions, where that one 1988 truck equals 60 of today's 2010 or newer engines. So we're in a pretty awesome place. A bill like this helps us get there even more in terms of tailpipe emissions.
Yes, and I appreciate that. I'm just trying to figure out how we capture that low end, that truly is a problem. And I think they would actually access this program, again, looking at the dollars. And the only reason these guys that are, they're hauling hay they're growing hay in Nevada. And the only thing that's stopping them from going to California, they can't run those trucks there. So what they're doing, they're running them in-state. And it's something we're going to have to address at some point. And again, they're not truly independents, but there's a ton of them out there. And I don't care whether they're hauling hay, cows, carrots. These people are on the road.
Very true.
And we're guilty. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Did you have a quick, okay. All right, we are going to
The
thank
most
you for your
questions I've been
testimony.
asked. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to quickly go to the gentleman from WRA who's been patiently waiting, and then we'll come back to Carson City.
Hello, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Aaron Kressig, and I'm the Transportation Electrification Manager for Western Resource Advocates. Western Resource Advocates is a regional nonprofit advocacy organization fighting climate change and its impacts to sustain the environment, economy, and people of the West. We fully support AB 184. The people of Nevada are subject to dangerous levels of air pollution, which are driven in large part by the transportation sector. And transportation also represents the single largest source of greenhouse gas emissions, which are worsening climate change. Electric trucks and buses have zero tailpipe emissions, which leads to huge reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and improves air quality. Another benefit of this bill is the impact it will have on agencies and businesses in Nevada, as been noted by some of the other commenters. These entities will greatly benefit from the operational cost savings that electric trucks and buses provide and help them overcome the higher upfront costs, which are still persistent with electric trucks today, although we are seeing decreases in those costs over time. The bill also provides additional support for entities like minority-owned businesses, independent owner contract operators, who could benefit the most from these operational cost savings of zero-emission vehicles, but face the greatest barriers to purchasing them. AB 184 is designed for Nevada's businesses and citizens to capture all these benefits while relying entirely on federal funding and making the state more competitive to capture more federal grant funding. We submitted written testimony where we provide more in-depth reasons why we support this bill, but we urge the committee to support AB 184. It will greatly benefit Nevada's air quality and our businesses. We thank Assembly Howard Watts for sponsoring this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll come back down to Carson City.
Good morning, Chairwoman Senator Pazina and members of the committee. For the record, I am Alex Pike with Flynn Judici Government Affairs today, representing Western Way in support of Assembly Bill 184. We would like to thank Assemblyman Watts for introducing this strategic bill that provides a vital investment in Nevada's future. The Clean Trucks and Buses Incentive Program aligns environmental, economic, and health benefits for our state. This legislation fosters job creation in a bright and clean energy sector, reduces our greenhouse gas emissions, and moves Nevada in the right direction. We'd like to thank you and your committee for hearing this important piece of legislation, and we urge your support.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Kyle Davis, today on behalf of the Washoe County School District. We are in support of this bill. The Washoe County School District has been a proud champion of alternative fuels for decades and believes that AB 184 could provide another avenue to diversify our fleet and improve environmental justice at our Title I schools. There's a letter on Nellis, so I won't go any longer, but thank you for your time today.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Chelsea Capurro here on behalf of the Urban Chamber. Want to thank Assemblyman Watts for bringing this, and I'll keep it brief. We urge your support. Thanks.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Tom Clark. I'm here on behalf of the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce. We're very much in support of this particular piece of legislation. Yeah, I've worked in the renewable energy and energy efficiency world for a long time. And we know that these types of incentive programs encourage people who want to bust into the market, that want to demonstrate to themselves and their customers that they're looking to do whatever they can to reduce the emissions that they bring forward. So leveraging the federal dollars, that's even better. We're very much in support. Thank you.
Chair Pazina and committee, Shelley Capurro representing Republic Services, and we just wanted to say us too, and we're very much in support of AB.
Barry Cole, B-A-R-Y-C-O-L-E. You may remember from school, air is supposed to be odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Have you ever been behind a truck and noticed what color the air is, what it smells like, and you hope you can get your recirculating system going before the smoke comes in? I won't even address the geopolitical concerns about fossil fuels, but I represent Nevada Clinicians for Climate Action, and we're definitely concerned about the quality of the air we all are breathing, but especially our youngsters, especially those in our two urban cities, Reno and Las Vegas. Sure, when you're out in rural Nevada, the air is always clean. That's why I love the drive from Reno to Las Vegas. But when you're in Reno in the winter, you've got bad air. When you're in, well, now it's in the summer too because of the fires, but when you're in Las Vegas in the summer, don't inhale too deeply. So I'd like to really suggest AB 184 and support it. Thank you very much on behalf of Nevada Clinicians for Climate Action.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Christy Cabrera-Georgeson, and I'm the Deputy Director of the Nevada Conservation League. We are here in strong support of AB 184. We believe it's a win-win for the state. It'll help our businesses and public fleets reduce costs through operation cost savings, as well as reduce harmful emissions and toxic air pollution that's harmful to our health. We've submitted a letter on Nellis, so we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Hello, Chair Pizzina and members of the committee. My name is Laurel Saito. I'm with the Nature Conservancy in Nevada, and we're testifying in support of AB 184. The Nature Conservancy is committed to tackling climate change, which is one of the biggest threats to our mission to conserve the lands and waters on which all life depends. We support policies that help Nevada reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we support incentives to help businesses and independent operators in the state to invest in a climate-friendly option for their transportation needs. Thank you for considering this bill in our support.
All right, thank you so much. Seeing no one else in Carson City, we will move on AB 184 to the phone lines. BPS, do we have anyone on the lines?
There are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
All right, with that, we will move to opposition on AB 184. Anyone in Carson City? BPS, we're back to you on the phones.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 184, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hi, my name's Gabriella. I'm with Advanced Energy United. It didn't actually give me the option to unmute in the support section, so my testimony is in support. Again, my name is Gabriella Olmedo, Olmedo. I'm an associate at Advanced Energy United, a clean energy business association working to make the energy we use clean, affordable, and reliable. We represent over 100 companies across the clean energy spectrum, such as large-scale renewables, transmission, solar, as well as electric vehicle manufacturers, operators, fleets, and charging developers. I'm speaking on behalf of our association to express business support for the Nevada Clean Trucks and Buses Incentive Program. This program would enable Nevada to take advantage of federal dollars to lower the upfront cost barrier for the adoption of medium and heavy duty electric vehicles by Nevada fleet operators. As we've heard, businesses want access to these vehicles, which offer considerable operational maintenance and fuel savings over their lifetimes. The purchasing of clean fleets will also drive additional private investment into the electric vehicle charging industry, bringing more clean energy industry investment into the state of Nevada. The Clean Trucks and Buses Incentive Program will make the best use of the unprecedented federal funding moment before us by kickstarting Nevada's new and promising clean truck market and driving economic development and diversification into a growth industry. Nevada is incredibly well positioned to become an electric vehicle hub, and this bill will demonstrate Nevada's commitment to that industry in a big way. We've also submitted a business sign-on letter expressing support from a wide range of business voices in this space. Thank you to the bill sponsor, Assemblyman Watts, for bringing this bill forward. We urge you to support this program and drive Nevadan businesses and fleets into a modern, high-performing, lower-cost, clean energy future. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, and we will make sure that that testimony is showing in support. BPS, do we have anyone on the phones in opposition?
Thank you, Chair. I think the rest are going to be in support. If you are interested in testifying in support of AB 184, please press star 9 now.
Thank you, Chair Pizzina and committee members. My name is Kelly Trombley, and I lead our state policy work in Nevada with Ceres. I'm also testifying in support. At Ceres, we run the BICEP network, and that's Business for Innovative Climate and Energy Policy. It's a group of over 80 major employers, large electricity customers, leading consumer brands, and Fortune 500s, many with operations here in the state. And we support AB 184 and wanted to note that we also joined the letter mentioned before as part of written testimony shared by more than 16 business entities in the state. Our member companies support policies that accelerate the adoption of EVs in Nevada because it makes good business sense. Transportation is really both a significant cost center in business operations, and it is vital for how employees and customers travel to facilities. So lowering barriers like upfront costs helps drive economies of scale. It improves access to electric vehicles and unlocks their considerable benefits. In addition to addressing pollution, stimulating the economy, and creating local jobs, we also see that medium and heavy-duty vehicle incentives are even more valuable right now as we expect continuing progress towards cost parity. And also, this program could position the state to secure and leverage further federal dollars. We respectfully urge your support for this bill, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. If you are joining and would like to testify in support of AB 184, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hello, my name is Will Dreyer, and I'm a policy manager for the Electrification Coalition, asking you to support AB 184. I want to say ditto on the importance of this program for our business partners, but also mention our Energy Security Leadership Council, a group of 4-star admirals and generals, also working to facilitate the adoption of EVs. AB 184 will accelerate EV adoption in the state and help to address the national and economic security concerns due to our nation's over-reliance on oil, a volatile commodity of which the supply and price is subject to the whims of a cartel and global events beyond our control. I want to thank you for the opportunity to support the bill.
Hi, this is Melissa. I'm calling on behalf of the American Lung Association. I just wanted to call in support of AB 184. Air pollution exacerbates heart and lung diseases, and the American Lung Association Delivering Clean Air report finds that cleaning up medium heavy-duty vehicles and investing in clean electricity could yield up to $5.2 billion in public health benefits. I have submitted a letter on behalf of 13 health organizations in support of this legislation, and we urge you to vote yes. Thank you.
The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
All right, thank you so much. That takes us to neutral testimony. So if anybody would like to testify in neutral, please come on up and go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. For the record, Mindy Elliott with Flynn Judici Government Affairs, representing the Nevada Battleborn Growth Escalator, Inc. I am the phone a friend for Small Business Administration definitions through you to Senator Gocochea. The SBA has a definition. It is revenue streams of $20 million. The employees is 500 or less. A socially and economically disadvantaged individual is a business that is 51% or greater owned by a minority or a woman-owned business.
Great, thank you. Did you have any other questions? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Scheibel, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Jennifer Carr, Administrator of the Division of Environmental Protection, and we're testifying in neutral on AB 184. If enacted, NDP is prepared to implement the proposed Clean Trucks and Buses Incentive Program created under this bill. As mentioned by the sponsor, NDP has many years' experience administering an effective Diesel Emission Reduction Act, or DERA, vehicle replacement program funded by EPA, as well as administering the national Volkswagen settlement on behalf of the state of Nevada. This Department of Transportation funded grant opportunity for reducing exhaust emissions from Nevada's fleets of medium and heavy-duty vehicles, trucks and buses, is really well suited to the work that we're already doing within the NDP's Bureau of Air Quality Planning. NDP reviewed the original bill as well as the amendments with the proponents of AB 184 and worked with NDOT. Once federal grant guidelines are established, NDP will continue to work together with NDOT on grant requirements and then host the stakeholder process to establish regulations as required by the bill. I will also note that as we embark on those regulation development processes, we will take today's comments into consideration, as well as whatever other federal grant requirements that may drive the definition of eligible recipient, and work within what's provided to us in law to ensure that we are making this program available to anyone who should be eligible. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Go ahead, Senator Goycochea.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. And I really appreciate that, because I think maybe it might be small, but it's definitely low-hanging fruit in some of these areas. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have a room in Las Vegas during this meeting? Okay, wanted to make sure I didn't skip people in neutral testimony. We'll go to the phones and see if there's anybody on the line now in neutral or any other position that maybe didn't make it the first time.
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 184, please press star 9 now. Take your place in the queue. Public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
All right, then that brings us to the conclusion of testimony. We'll welcome the sponsor back up to make closing remarks. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. Howard Watts for the record. I'll just keep this brief. I think you heard again from the different folks providing testimony about the different benefits and opportunities of this. I think it's a great way to, again, harness these federal funds that are coming in and deploy them in a way that has clean air benefits, but also economic benefits, and does it on a completely voluntary, incentive-based basis. And and again, I think you've heard about the collaboration, and we actually pared some of this back to create some flexibility in rulemaking, to hear from different stakeholders and make sure that the nuts and bolts of the program are going to be set up in the best way for the state and all the various entities to take advantage of it. And again, we're going to have dealers and other folks helping those that are interested in it walk through the process and understand that use case. I think clearly for the largest vehicles doing the longest hauls, there are still some other logistical issues that are continuing to be worked out. But for example, I took a tour of Caesars, and they have vans running laundry from their properties to a laundry facility in North Las Vegas and back every day. And so that's the type of thing, short haul, on the roads constantly, and there's an opportunity to make an impact there. Again, these independent owner-operators that have their own vehicle that are trying to get as much life out of it as they can and do this work might have the opportunity now to make a huge step up into a new vehicle. And so that's really what we're trying to do. And I think you've heard this diverse coalition of folks to help support people in identifying and seizing those opportunities where they make sense, and again, doing it on a voluntary basis. So thank you for your time and consideration, and I ask for your support.
Thank you. Senator Goycochea.
Just one quick, just kind of more of a comment, I think, Assemblyman, and as this moves forward, though, again, maybe it won't have to be new. It just has to be electric, I hope, and you're taking one of them, maybe they can't afford the $400,000, but they can repower it or something at $100,000, and again, you're taking that vehicle, which typically is one of the worst worst offenders because they are older and we're trying to make them run.
I appreciate that, Senator Howard Watts, for the record, and I will mention that repowering is actually something that is contemplated within this bill as well.
All right, thank you. That will close our hearing on AB 184. At this time, I would entertain a motion to do pass. All right, we have a motion from Senator Flores and a second from Senator Goycochea. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Hansen.
Sorry to rain on the parade, but no, I got some real issues with some of this. I think it's a great program, as usual. Assemblyman Watts does phenomenal work. I really think the bill is a brilliant, well put together bill. I'm just really getting concerned about several aspects of it, though. One, I think we're getting addicted to federal money. It's not magic money. It is taxpayer money somewhere. Somebody's paying the federal dollars. And our state's getting to the point where the minute somebody starts talking about federal funds coming to Nevada, everybody just pounces on it. Fine and dandy, but I think it's getting to the point where we're getting addicted to it. An equal or greater concern is the mention we're going to need 3 times the trucks because the battery weight. That means 3 times more traffic. For example, the mention of the traffic from one casino to the laundromat, well, that means there's going to be 3 times more trucks doing that if they were to convert completely to this fleet. There's also concern about the toxicity of the batteries themselves. That's something we didn't address, and the amount of lithium that has to be produced, in addition to the electric generation. We're talking blackouts already now with current demand. How are we going to meeting all these increased things? We also didn't talk about how much fossil fuel is needed to create these electric vehicles and these electric batteries. I've seen some statistics that indicates that at best it's a dead even break. In other words, we use as much fossil fuel and create as much carbon footprint producing this stuff as we're going to save. Senator Flores' question I didn't think got addressed, and that is, with these older vehicles, which are the more polluting ones, they don't go off the market. We're simply shifting them to either other states or foreign countries. So the amount of pollution, at least for the immediate future, remains at the same levels or in some cases greater. And the greater concern to me is the carbon footprint argument, which was mentioned, the whole greenhouse gas thing. As I've mentioned, since 2004, the United States has, to its credit, cut our carbon footprint by 400 million metric tons, but in that same window of time, China has increased their carbon footprint by 2,000 million metric tons, and in the last 5 years have built 1,200 and more coal-fired power plants. So I think we're, at least on the carbon footprint side of this thing, we're watching one of the great swindles of all time, where we have been conned by them. For 30 years, they've been claiming that they're going to be doing a conversion to green energy, which they promised clear back at the Kyoto Treaty in 1998, yet to this very day, they have dramatically expanded their carbon footprint. And we have been hamstringing our own industries, making them less competitive, giving China a huge competitive advantage in the world markets. While that's way beyond just what this bill deals with, I think it is a much bigger discussion that we need to have in our country. So this bill passed over, everybody voted for it in the Assembly. I suspect I'll be the only no vote. It's not because I don't think it's a great program. I just think we need to raise the awareness of what's going on. This is the same environment, the same atmosphere. Whatever China's doing is impacting us every bit as much as what our automobile industries or our trucking industries or anything burning carbon fuel is creating. So we got to look at the bigger picture. So while I think this is a great program for Nevada, and I think the bill overall is something I would normally gladly support, I'm going to be a no vote simply to raise awareness of some of these issues I have addressed. Thank you, Madam Chair. Vice Chair. Excuse me.
All right. Well, we appreciate you putting your comments on the record. And is there any other discussion? Not seeing any other discussion, we will go to a vote on the motion to do pass AB 184. All in favor, aye. Aye. And any opposed, nay. Nay. All right. The motion does pass with Senator Hansen a nay, Chair Pizzina absent excused, and the rest are yays. And I will give the floor statement to Senator Pizzina. Thank you. And I believe that brings us to the end of our bill hearings for today. And it is time for public comment. Anybody wishing to give public comment is invited to come up to the front to do so now. I don't see anybody coming up for public comment, so we'll go to the phones for any public comment.
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
All right. In that case, that brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. And I wish our chair was here because this may be likely our last meeting of this session. And it has been such a pleasure to serve with all of you here on Senate Natural Resources that I almost called Judiciary. And with that, we are adjourned.